Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
You've been through so much, like for instance, the 2016 Grey Cup. How hurt were you? Because I'm sitting there watching the game, getting ready to watch it all on TSN, like, Henry's got a knee injury, right? And we're like, oh, my God. How bad was it that day?
Oh, it was bad, honestly. It was bad. Even leading up that week, I was constantly getting treatment on my knee, and I just knew something wasn't right. But it was unfortunate that in the game, on the best surface possible, playing on grass, which players always welcome, that's when everything just kind of went awry during the pregame warmups, and I felt a pop in my knee. And we all know, for those who've experienced just a slight cartilage tear, when it happens, you know right away. And I'm thankful for the doctors and the staff with the Ottawa Red Blacks at the time, and the Ottawa nurses from the city of Ottawa, who came together and were able to come up with some concoction and inject it into my knee and give me some painkillers. But regardless of Alex Singleton and Micah Johnson and those guys hitting me left and right during that game, I couldn't feel it. So I could, I would look them in the eye when they would say, "Hey, boom!" I know that had to hurt. I'd say, "Guys, I can't even feel it right now." But it felt good. It kind of put the icing on the cake for me to be able to go there and do what I needed to do, just to finish my career off in the right way. But trust me, my knee was all jacked up, and that's the reason why, for me, if we had to play another period in overtime, it would have been tough for me to survive that, because by the end of that game, my knee was completely locked out due to the amount of swelling that was in my left knee.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
People don't like us Dallas Cowboy fans. It's similar to you Leaf fans. That's why we don't like you. Michael Irvin, the playmaker, he's like, Cowboys fans, get your Super Bowl tickets. Stop. He, of all people, should know it's one play at a time. It's one game at a time. The game took years off my life yesterday. But in the end, the Cowboys prevailed. Tells me this is something special brewing with the Dallas Cowboys, America's team.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
A little bit of foreshadowing there. There's going to be a lot of NFL talk and some hockey talk. A brand new week. Welcome, everybody, to the RP Show. They're very excited in Saskatchewan and Arizona because the show is moved to 10 a.m. their time. They get the RP Show an hour earlier until the spring. Let's bring in the Moose. He's in Toronto. Clark, let me know, please, when you have those photos loaded up and ready to go, as I want to tell a couple stories from the weekend. Okay, thank you. We'll get to those in a second. But, Moose, I'm far more fascinated to get yours. What's up, my dude? I know you had a day off yesterday. What'd you get up to?
Yeah, it was nice. I spent the day, to be honest, outside. We explored the city a little bit, couple of hikes, and then sat in front of the TV and watched golf, watched tennis, watched hockey, watched curling. It was a good Sunday off.
Okay, good. Well, here's mine, by the way. Clark, if you want to start with the first photo, I think the first one is from Saturday. I went up to Wellington, Florida, and I watched the No, that's from Sunday. All good. That was from Saturday. All right, we're rolling. It's all good, guys. See that little guy in the front? That's my dude, RJ, pumping his fist. He is Brent from Wellington, Florida's son, and that was their second game of the year, and they won, as you can see. He is kind of, I don't know, they called him a middle linebacker. He was more of, to me, Darren, a nickelbacker. He had his man locked down. And they won, and I was very excited to go up to Wellington. He's a stud, man. Watch for him in the National Football League, RJ, and I was pretty happy that he ran off the field and gave me a hug. And on Sunday, you hear me talk so much about Cardinal Gibbons High School and Matt DeBuck. That's Coach DeBuck on the left. That's him in his natural environment on the sidelines at Cardinal Gibbons High School, and he was getting his boys fired up and ready to go for the 7-on-7 tournament there. So it was a beautiful day, and thanks, guys. We can put Moose back on. As I said, I like to be the guy that tells you what I'm going to do and then goes and does it. And it was exactly what happened on the weekend, spending the day. Do you want to know? Listen, I used to think forever when there is a bias about U.S. football players versus Canadian football players. And I thought it was like insulting to the Canadians. But what I realize now, it's not that the athletes are superior. They're not. But these kids are playing year-round. And that flag team there, Darren, that's the one that had the combine and the draft and all the rest. So I don't know. I don't know. I think it's evening. It is evening, right? The USA-Canada talent level for football. But when you get to play outdoors year-round, that's hard to beat.
It's hard to beat. And, our coaching in Canada is very good. And I'd say on par with what they're doing in the U.S. now. Like, the coaching is great. The development's good. The athletes are great. But you just can't compete 40 million to 300 million people for every group of kids, and you find a superstar here, they can find 4 because there's just that many more kids to choose from, So that's just numbers. But no, it's very, very good, and happy. Looks like a great weekend.
Oh, it was great, but that's why it was so massive that Canada won the Four Nations face-off, because America's coming for the hockey too. But it went to overtime, and Connor McJesus saved the day for Team Canada, but we don't need to go back. Let's look ahead. Boys, can you hit the Quick Six show horn? And we'll get down to business. Coming up in the Quick Six show topics here, we got NHL. That's the big story. NFL, that's like tied for the big story. I've got a CFL commissioner rumor. Am I doing it right? Breaking rumor on the CFL commissioner search. NBA, MLB, tonight's NHL. We'll get to all of that. But the trade deadline, Darren, we have not been on the air here on the RP show since the Florida Panthers acquired Brad Marchand from the Boston Bruins on Friday afternoon. And to be honest, Serena sent it to me and asked me if I'd seen it. And I'm like, this has got to be fake. I said, are you sure it's real? That was my first reaction when the Florida Panthers announced they were getting Brad Marchand. What was yours?
Yeah, I was shocked. I mean, there have been some conversation during the week and the days leading up that maybe Marchand, if they couldn't get a long-term deal done or a new deal done, not that long-term, but if they couldn't get a deal done, that Marchand could potentially be on the move. And he's the captain. He's synonymous with Boston. He hasn't played anywhere else. It's hard to believe. And then to go to Florida, of all places, where they've had a couple of playoff series against each other and a bit of a rivalry maybe brewing, that hurts for Boston fans, and it hurts to see their longtime player. He's going to the Hall of Fame. He's going to go in and he's going to wear a Boston Bruins jersey if that's a thing. But yeah, monumental trade there for sure.
Devin from Fraser Lake, BC writes in, says, good morning from Fraser Lake. What a crazy deadline that was. Have a good one, Rod Squad. Thank you, Devin, for chiming in. Well, it was 24 trades, 47 players switching teams at the trade deadline. That represents the 4th highest total ever. So it was a heck of a lot of fun to watch. And that brings up the poll question today. And if anybody's noticed, Twitter ain't working. So you're only going to be able to vote on YouTube for this. Who won the trade deadline? And I'm not sure we settled on who the teams were. Well, Florida won it, so we can pick a couple others. Dallas got Mikko Rantanen, I think was the best player available, right? And Colorado got Brock Nelson, who was number 1 on the TSN trade board, not to mention a few other guys. So Florida, Dallas, Colorado, or other. Clearly, I'm going to vote for Florida. Tampa Bay would say probably that they did. Who are you voting for?
Yeah, the Colorado Avalanche for me. That group now is so good. And Florida, yes. Dallas even too, because they got Rantanen locked up to a long-term deal. That's big. But I think it's the Colorado Avalanche, and I look no further than Saturday night. I'm watching the game, and here's Brock Nelson. Very first shift, boom, Avs score. He's on the board. The second shift that Brock Nelson's on the ice, they score again. Instantly paying dividends. That power play, which had been, I think, on a pace of scoring 8 goals in their most recent 12 power plays, got even better by adding these guys, not to mention the trade with Boston. I think it's Colorado. They said that they're for real and joined the Dallases, the Floridas, the Tampas as legit cup contenders.
I'll tell you what, we got a lot of football news to get to. We can sit and we'll be talking about this all week. But I was looking at the playoff pairings. We're still so far away from the Stanley Cup playoffs that the Score app doesn't have the playoff pairings yet. I love when they do. When they start to put that up, it's like, ooh, we're getting close. I can smell the Stanley Cup playoffs. We're not there yet. But for my Monday morning goalie column, or was it the weekend newsletter? Yeah, I can't remember. One of them, I put the pairings in there. And I'll just say Detroit isn't in. Ottawa and Columbus have the wild card spots. Detroit isn't in. And I'll be honest, they're more talented than both the Red Wings. I don't need to tell you that. Patrick Kane, Vladimir Tarasenko, they are all that. But they're not in a playoff spot. So we got a long ways to go. And there's a lot of fun hockey talk on the scene. But we're going to move on as we move fast here on the RP Show. Point 2, NFL. League MVP Josh Allen was rewarded with a contract extension worth $330 million over the weekend, with an NFL record $250 million of it guaranteed, which makes him among the league's highest paid players. The new contract adds 2 years to Allen's contract and locks the 28-year-old in through the 2030 season. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Steelers have finally established their big play wideout. Seattle Seahawks are sending two-time Pro Bowler DK Metcalf to Pittsburgh for at least a second-round pick. Metcalf will receive a new 5-year, $150 million contract. His exodus from Seattle comes during a tumultuous stretch for the Seahawks, which dealt quarterback Geno Smith to the Las Vegas Raiders last week. And I got one more, Moose. Myles Garrett, this is probably the biggest of them all, is staying in Cleveland after the Browns gave their defensive end a record 4-year extension that makes him, well, the 4-time All-Pro edge rusher, the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. It includes $122.8 million guaranteed, an average annual salary of $40 million, with a total value of the deal $204.8 million. The 2023 Associated Press Defensive Player of the Year had asked for a trade last month, but the Browns were adamant about keeping the 29-year-old star in Cleveland. So I want to ask you, Darren, and the viewers. I have to recuse myself from this question, and I'll tell you why in a second. Would you sign for the money, let's say that much money, if the deal was you knew you'd never win a championship? Because that's what the deal is. He has sold his soul to the devil for $204.8 million. Come on, let's say it for what it is. The Browns are never going to win. That's why he wanted out. But they gave him the bag.
That's a tough question. I can't say that I would do it, but I've never been, presented with that kind of paycheck. And I may jump at the paycheck, but no, it's tough. And I think the flip side of that, though, is the players, I think they believe that they can win in Cleveland. And it's just not going to happen. It's not happening. I don't want to say never because that'll come back to bite me. You can say never because you probably know. Yeah, I mean, he's getting paid. And DK Metcalf, the money he's getting, like incredible amount of money there. And even Devontae Adams, after a down year and moving around, to the New York Jets, signing with the Los Angeles Rams for big money again. It's kind of crazy right now.
Well, it's kind of funny. I'm recusing myself for this reason. I've got 2 Grey Cup rings, and I'm very grateful for that. Went to a Memorial Cup with the Regina Pats. We didn't win it, but we were at least in the championship. Did the World Juniors. We won a bronze medal there. So my point is, I know what it feels like to win. And I don't think I would have, as a matter of fact, I know I would have never traded anything for the opportunity to win. But he's trading winning. And so furthermore, you say he doesn't think that they all think that they'll, yeah, they do. But that's the exuberance and, dare I say, bliss of youth. Because my guy Chris Sims was on Florio this morning saying it's not fair that the Bengals franchise tag T. Higgins 2 straight years. He goes, this is all slanted towards the owners. This isn't fair to the players. Yep. When are you going to realize that? Right? And that's just age. What's Chris Sims, 30? You're going to realize that at the end of the day, it's all slanted in the owner's favor. Even more so in the CFL, but definitely in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? So I'm out, like, these guys can run around and complain. It's not fair. Okay. Get back to me when you realize nothing is. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's not. I mean, the owners, at the end of the day, it will always win. The salary cap did jump. But this is kind of crazy. Like DK Metcalf being a $30 million receiver, he's a great player. But I don't know, again, can you replicate that success somewhere else? And, with the Rams, You're trading out Cooper Kupp, bringing in Devontae Adams to pair with Puka Nacua. They still have, their sights set on trying to win a Super Bowl. They think maybe that's an upgrade. But again, it's all about fit, chemistry. Is Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Sean McVay, and Matthew Stafford all going to live in harmony? That's the big question.
Carlos in Indianapolis says many an athlete have changed teams, chasing rings, only to come up empty. That's the other side of it. Jerome McGinley did that with the Flames. What if the Flames said, hey, Iggy, we're not going to trade you, but we're going to make you the highest paid player in the NHL for as long as you wear a Flames uniform? He might take that deal. And he never did win anyways, right? Ray Bourque got traded, and he did win. Rich in Edmonton writes in, and he says, I'm not into Geno Smith, not one bit. We're going to move on here in a second, but Zig Fracassi will join us from SiriusXM NFL Radio in hour 2 to get the scoop and more on all these moves. Utah Darren writes in, he says, everything is for sale, even a chance for a Super Bowl. Moving on to point 3, I put this in my Weekend Things newsletter. Moose's column's in it too. A name that came up on Friday morning with regards to the CFL commissioner search, and it's important to note, this is just a couple of guys shooting the breeze. I don't know if there's any credence behind this at all, but a CFL type told me Friday morning he heard the name Paul Graham. And you know Paul. I think you've had conversations with Paul. I've had many over the years. He's the recently retired legendary executive producer at TSN, the guy that built the World Juniors into what it is today, took it from a little hockey tournament to a phenomenon, built the CFL on TSN, but he's retired, they say, I guess from that. But I feel like Paul's the kind of guy that doesn't ever retire, like the Belichicks of the world and the Pete Carrolls of the world. I think he's of that age. I'm not sure. But that's what I hear. But that same guy, you call him a source, also said, Mike Morreale, they got to talk to Mike. He goes, I don't know if they have or if they have anything scheduled, but at some point they're going to have to talk to Mike. So this guy's not saying that it's going to be Paul Graham, the next commissioner of the CFL. But what I know of Paul, I would support that as the next commissioner of the CFL. How about you?
I would too, for sure. You want to talk about being able to communicate with the owners and the teams, and I'm sure that that's been part of the package, running the TV deal as the official broadcaster for years. So you've got relationships, you've built that up, you've shown an ability for innovation, right, with that product and other things. Yeah. Finally, we're hearing a name, which I think is the biggest win of all.
And that's my point on this is clearly the CFL wants it mum. But I'm like, the whispers from the fans grew into murmurs, grew into shouting from the rooftops. Give us some names. For the love of God, people want to know. Give us some names. And that's one name. Now, I haven't sent Paul a message. I think I got his cell number. I didn't ask if he's involved. It's fun. It's fun stuff. Everybody loves rumors unless you're the subject of one. So anyways, there's your CFL tidbit. And thank you, Jeff, the Stamps fan, for waiting till Sunday or Saturday night when it dropped to get it. We got a heck of a lot more to get to when we come back. We'll be right back. I will tell you that we are on the Progressive Insurance text line's open, 902-518-3033. Switch to Progressive and you can save a bunch. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hour one of the show is for Culligan Water. Drink clean, live green. Filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit CulliganRegina.com. They're all excited in the 306 because the RP show is airing at 10 a.m. now, courtesy of the time change. If we can bring the Moose in. So I love that. That's still our biggest portion of viewers is the wonderful province of Saskatchewan, the Wheat Province. They're celebrating Benny Hebert. I believe it's his fifth Brier that he won with Team Jacobs last night. You watched it, Darren.
Bingo!
And you're probably very excited today because you're the big U of S guy. I'm the U of R guy. We don't, unfortunately, make the playoffs when it comes to hockey, but the U of S won the Canada West. They beat my old school, Mount Royal University,
I was going to say.
last night. Yeah, so that was all up in Saskatoon, so there's a lot of cool stuff going on there.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm surprised we never even thought about putting anything on that Canada West Championship. That's, you know, your alma mater against mine, right? We're both alumni of that final, you of Mount Royal, me of the U of S. Went to game 3, as it probably should, but that's fun. You know, I've been in that environment, and I call that one of my starts in this business. I mean, I started, you know, in Kindersley in the SJHL, but when I came back to Saskatchewan from BC, it was to call games at the U of S. And I called the Canada West Championship and, you know, had some fun there. So I have fond memories, and I always am following what's going on with the school.
It's a great barn, and kudos to the Huskies. Big weekend there. Hey, I'm just pausing for the cause for a second here. Just back on the NHL trade deadline thing. Florida's running away with our options. That's our poll question for EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with a speaker from EMJ Marketing's legendary bureau. Look them up at emjmarketing.com. The poll question, who won the NHL trade deadline? Florida, Colorado, Dallas, or other. Florida's running away with it, the vote so far. Twitter's not working, so I didn't even put it up there. There you go. EMJ Marketing. Look up Joe at emjmarketing.com. Joe 747 Gunnis. Just on the Brad Marchand thing, he met with the media this morning here in Fort Lauderdale. I don't know if you saw any. I don't even know if you follow the Panthers stuff. Well, Spit and Chicklets posted a photo of him in a Panthers top and a hat. And let's be honest, it looks weird. And I think I'm very grateful for the peek behind the curtain that I've had my whole life. There's a story that's up at rodpeterson.com right now, came from the Associated Press, that none of the Panthers players knew this was coming. And how would they? So Alexander Barkov, the captain, was still, as of Saturday morning's morning skate, looking in Marchand's stall in the dressing room going, what just happened? It is the biggest buzz in this market, Darren. It is. Brad Marchand going to the Panthers, like, I don't even know if they really needed him. But they got him, so here we are.
Yeah, it's big buzz and timing, right? Like we talk about the Four Nations, and because of the tariffs and everything going on, the political climate and in our world, that it was just a perfect storm that made this Four Nations so wonderful. Well, that Four Nations was part of the perfect storm that makes this trade so wonderful and creates such a great buzz, in South Florida. You've got Brad Marchand now, who was on a line with Sam Bennett at the Four Nations. Now they're going to team up potentially on a line in Florida to try and give the Panthers a second straight Stanley Cup. He's also going to have to go against players like Matthew Tkachuk, who he was battling with at the Four Nations, or Barkov for Finland. So I think it's really fun, a lot of intrigue, and I'm curious to see if we'll see the Marchand-Bennett line for the Panthers.
I don't know if it's going to, at some point, we'll see it. I hate the fact that the Panthers always practice right when we're on the air, so I can't get over to their practice in Fort Lauderdale. I rely on the great Panthers media for that. So that's a hell of a story. I still can't believe Brad Marchand is a Panther, and he's not going to play for a couple weeks, they say, but Bill Zito says he's worth the wait. Checking in from the streamers, those watching on YouTube, BW writes in, he says, morning from Drayton Valley. That's Alberta for those that don't know. Trent in Norway writes in, and he says, Edmonton made a step up on defense with the San Jose trade. One game is not enough for a proper evaluation, of course, but it is a good start. Have a good day back home. That's from Trent in Norway. A lot of curling people have showed up. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, I felt for Matt Dunstone, who lost for the second time in a Brier final. However, it was a great game. Oh, he'll be back. Don't worry. As a skip, but I think he's lost a Brier final before. Wasn't he a third on Braden Muscovy's team, or was he the skip of that team? It's a lot of heartbreak for Matt Dunstone at the Brier. That was a long time ago now, but you remember.
Yeah, it's a ton of heartbreak. I felt for Matt. He was in control that whole game, and just, two misses that hurt him. And Brad Jacobs was constantly making shots to get himself out of trouble and keep the game close, and then had an opportunity to win it in the end. It was a really good final, a really good one, and I do feel for Matt.
902-518-3033. I'm not going to even read the persnickety snippy comments from people that are just trying to get attention. I'm not even going to do that. Nice try, though. I'm wondering if this crossed your radar. LeBron James had a public confrontation with ESPN's Stephen A. Smith during a Lakers game against the Knicks earlier this week. The Lakers star was spotted confronting Stephen A., who was sitting courtside during a game in Southern California. Video of the incident has gone viral. LeBron James, who typically avoids public confrontations, did not seem to hold back during his moment with Stephen A. Smith. I've written here in all caps, has this hit your radar at all? It's not. Here, the Panthers are far bigger talk than that, but I did see it come up. How about you?
Oh, yeah. Of course, I saw it, and in response to some comments that Stephen A., I guess, has made about Bronny James or LeBron Jr. And to me, this is all just LeBron trying to control the media. He's trying to protect his kid. I get all that. He's a father and all that, and I understand he's a great guy and a good father. I don't know LeBron at all. But your kid's in the NBA. He probably doesn't belong in the NBA because he's not that good yet. Probably needs a little more development in the G League, where I guess he's been okay. But people are going to talk. People are going to talk. They're going to evaluate the kid. I mean, he's not scoring any points. He's not making any plays. He doesn't really. It was fun, the father-son thing, but I don't think Stephen A. is out of line criticizing the kid. And I don't even remember or know what he said. But I'm sure, nothing's really off limits when your kid's in the NBA. I don't know what LeBron expected.
Clearly, I agree, but you might be 100% wrong on that. Like, I can't remember who the New Jersey Devils player was, and maybe you saw it. Jersey Jim not only posted it to Twitter, but tagged me. One of the Devils players scored a goal for the first time in 29 games, ended a 29-game drought. And after the game, he called out a reporter. I didn't watch the clip. I just saw that he did. I did. I don't have time to look at all the clips people send me. The title said enough. Devils forward blankety blank calls out reporter after ending 29 games. Oh, my God. And what Jersey Jim said to me was, as Rod always says, the players are watching. Now, it's not hard to believe that LeBron James would be watching Stephen A. on ESPN. And just so you know, everybody was carving Bronny James, LeBron's son. Everybody. There's not one guy that said he belonged in the NBA. Right? So
I know.
with the Devils player more than anything, I don't know what generation LeBron James falls into. He's 40. He's not in mine. He's in yours. What do you guys, is he a millennial? I don't know. Millennials not even kids anymore. But the thing is, with the Panthers show that we do here, the Panthers and Lightning, I can see, because of the age of digital media, that the Panthers are watching it. Some of the Lightning are watching it. The Panthers brass are watching it, and clearly all their PR people are. That's why I'm very much on my P's and Q's. Never say anything negative about the Panthers. Unfortunately, they've never given me anything to. But the thing is, you know, the players are watching, and the coaches are too. And I just, McFly, maybe some people don't care. I largely do not. Stephen A. clearly does not. But I'm just kind of sitting here, fans wondering, how come you don't say it like it is anymore? How come nobody's reporting on the CFL commissioner? How come? Because they got you by the balls in a lot of ways. And we shouldn't be surprised when a player comes out and bites a reporter's ass. LeBron and Stephen A. aside, I hear that was all for show. That's the backside of that. It was all for show. Sort of like you could have pulled him underneath the stands. You know what I'm saying? You probably have his number. Maybe you could have texted him. It was all for show. But with that Devils player, we should not be surprised that players are calling out the media. What do you think?
It's happening more and more and more. And, you know, it's the same. We've seen this, you know, with kids yelling back at the parents or that type of thing, right? It's that behavior. But, you know, it's not great, but it's where we are now. And what are we going to do? Where are we going to go from here? I don't know where it goes from here. But the one thing about Stephen A., I've watched a lot of Stephen A., and I've, you know, obviously watched First Take for a lot of years too. And he'll be very critical, and he'll be very, very fiery, and he'll have the hot takes and all the rest. But at the same time, he's careful about his words. The guys who are good in this business are careful about their words. So you can be critical, but you can not be disrespectful. There's a way to be critical without being disrespectful. And I think, you know, LeBron is just being a dad, trying to protect his kid, which he's in the NBA, so you don't get that luxury, unfortunately.
Where's the line? I'm having way more fun with this debate than I thought that I would. Because I have not even watched the kid play. But Torrey Gurley is a baller. And Torrey and I were talking off the air about Bronny. Torrey played basketball. He might have even played at South Carolina. And Torrey's like, he can't play. Torrey would say it on the air. It reminds me, I look at these, like Stephen A. and I are about the same age. I look at Randy Moeller, the color guy for the Panthers. He's like 60, and he's had to change from the pre-internet era to the post-internet era in terms of how we do what we do in analyzing. You know what I mean? And I remember, maybe you probably do too, calling major junior hockey back in the day, we used to have for the web feed when there was this thing called the interweb and it was invented. And they would plug our audio into the feed that went out. You know that. They probably still do. And I was new at this. This was like 02, 03. I'm not going to say the player's name, but we had a defenseman with the Regina Pats, God's team. He was like -5 in the first period alone. We went to a commercial, and I turned the knob the wrong way or whatever, and I said, "Get him off the ice." I get called into a meeting the next day. "Oh, Rod, Curtis's parents were watching." My reaction? "So? But you hurt their feelings." "I don't care. He was -5. They can't see this?" What really is the difference? You said LeBron's defending his kid, but you know what? He's also defending his teammate. Or, you know, the guy can't play.
He needs
Where's
a Sam. I need a
LeBron?
Sam Mitchell here, Rod. His stat line, like 0, 0, 0.
0, 0. We got some guys out.
I wish I had the numbers because I've seen them talking about the numbers. Like he's averaging 0.3 points per game, something like that. Like less than a point per game, less than a rebound per game. Like it's not good. And he was doing really good in the G League. I would say keep him where he's going to have the best chance to develop, but I'm not LeBron.
Rich in Edmonton writes in and he says, Connor McDavid did it to Mark Spector a couple years ago and said at the end of the presser, "Spec, can we chat for a minute?" And then had the conversation off the record away from cameras. That's how you do it. And that's the thing. I've never met McDavid. He seems like the greatest kid ever. Does LeBron seem like the greatest guy ever? Not really. I've never met him either. I'm just saying he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would do that. He did this for all the world to see. And there's a lot of guys and gals out there that use that strategy. We'll take a timeout. Don't move, Moose. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house. Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hour one is brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, Last Breath, a heart-pounding film that follows seasoned deep-sea divers as they battle the raging elements to rescue their crewmate trapped hundreds of feet below the ocean's surface. Based on a true story. Makes my heart rush just thinking about it. It's in Landmark Cinemas now, starring Woody Harrelson, Simu Liu, and Finn Cole. Catch it tonight. Moose and I have seen it. It gets the RP show approved. Okay, from the text line, 902-518-3033, brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Switch to Progressive and you can save a bunch. Freddie in Winnipeg writes in and he says, "Hey, Rod, hope your weekend went well with your new neighbor, Darian, a.k.a. Doubles. Good newsletter. Thanks. Let's all have a good Monday and a great week, everyone. You're welcome." Signed, Freddie in Winnipeg. Well, something came up and Doubles was unable to join us at our 7-on-7 football tournament yesterday here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, but that's okay. I'll be honest, I called you from it. I called you, and then you called me back because you missed the calls. And I said, I don't know how the hell I used to be able to, I stayed for 3 hours, which was cool. So I used to sit out here for 8-9 hours watching these Rough Riders camps in Florida back in the day. Very grateful for that. It was like 3 times as long as I did yesterday, and go and broadcast a radio show after that. I'm like, how the hell did I do it? And then I thought, well, it's my job, right? So there's worse things to do than watch. There's worse things to do than watch football all day. What's on your mind, Moose, before I move on?
Yeah, no, I'm ready to move on. That seemed great. And, your football, here's what's on my mind. Your football story, and I'm looking out the window over here, and it feels like it's spring now. I don't want to say in Canada because I know I don't want to speak for the West. But here where I am, it feels like spring. You got football going on out there. I've got this feeling of enthusiasm and optimism right now as we move towards spring and the summer.
I think everybody does, and that's a good thing. Bo in Saskatoon writes in, and he says, just booked Blades playoff tickets, just on sale. Same as RP show, he says. I'm not sure what that means, but the Saskatoon Blades have clinched a playoff berth for the 6th consecutive year. You think I'm not watching this stuff? Go to rodpeterson.com right now. The Monday morning goalie's out. 3rd straight week I'm doing it. I figured I had an advisor say, Rod, you got gifts. Use them. You want to write about hockey? Go write about hockey, for God's sakes. So I dusted off the Monday morning goalie. I got it in there. A bunch of dub notes. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention my niece, Sydney Pedersen's collegiate career wound up on Saturday with a loss to Penn State in the AHA Conference Championship game. She's at was at Mercyhurst University, the Mercyhurst Lakers. 5 years, they're gone in a blink. And I said, how you doing, Sid? Tough one. And she goes, hey, sucks to lose, but on to the next chapter. That's her. So people think, I don't know why, that I'm not paying attention to anything other than what's going on here. I'm paying attention to everything. I got a lot of time on my hands. And I'll be back in Saskatchewan once the snow melts, for God's sakes. On the LeBron going after Stephen A. Smith, BW writes in and he says, LeBron is a spoiled brat for the past 20 years. MJ over LeBron any day. Well, I think that's the chip that LeBron has on his shoulder, that he's not MJ, and he will never be MJ. But there are LeBron guys and there's MJ guys, right? Rob Campbell's watching in Las Vegas. He writes in and he says, Bronny James is playing well in the G League. He's averaging 21.1 points per game. He was drafted 55th overall in the NBA draft. The expectation that he would be an instant NBA star was unrealistic. Sure, but they put him in the starting lineup with his dad. It was opening night, was it not? So in all these cases, I feel sorry for the kid. Go ahead.
Yes. He wasn't even a starter in college. He couldn't become a starter in college. It's going to take time. There's massive expectations because of his name. Let him go where he can have success and let that success continue to build and then bring him into the NBA. But it's a cool moment, and we knew it was going to happen. The kid gets drafted higher probably than he should have to LA, and he plays. And you know what? If you're the Lakers and you got LeBron James and LeBron says, hey, can you draft my kid? Hey, can you put him in the lineup because I'd like to play with him? What are you going to tell him? No? It's LeBron James. Like, I also understand that. He's not every other player. So he gets the special treatment. But he also has to wear it when it blows up in his face a little bit and doesn't go as well as you think it's going to. So
that's why I feel so sorry for those guys. And by the way, Bo in Saskatoon points out that the Blades tickets went on sale the same time the RP show went to air. That's a great time of the day for you, Bo, for sure. But I look at Deron Carter here. The comparisons to his dad, Chris, crippled him. It did. You know, and to be honest, my dad was a farmer, but he also, as most know, I've said it many times, worked in the NHL for 26 years. When I was up for the Prince Albert Raiders radio job when I was 20, it was me, Mike Newmeyer, I can't remember who else. It was on the short list. My dad called me because there was no cell phones back then, and he goes, did you tell him that you're my boy, that I used to work for the Raiders? I'm like, Dad, I don't want them to know. I want to get it on my own merit. And I don't know if they knew. They probably did. I don't know. It never came up in the interviews with Dale Engel and Don Clark, but that was just me. I would never be compared to my dad as a farmer, and I would lose 10 times out of 10. And as far as hockey goes, while he was a scout and I'm a broadcaster, I was still compared to him, and that was a hell of a lot to live up to, too. Trust me. You know, he's the man. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and he says, it's nepotism. The likes we have not seen since the Federic family. Oh, yeah, it's gross, man. But the thing is, I don't think those families see it. Do you know how many family-run businesses that I've worked in? They put the fun in dysfunctional. And they didn't see anything wrong with it. Still going on. I don't think LeBron thinks he's doing anything wrong. Rob in Vegas writes in and says, bingo, Moose. Do you think LeBron thinks he's doing anything wrong? Clearly not.
No, I don't think so. I think, LeBron's just trying to protect his kid, and he thinks he's fine. And when it's your kid, you probably have the blinders. You have the blinders on. So I get it. But he also needs to understand that, we all have jobs to do. And, hey, the kid's not playing very well. And he's going to get more attention than every other kid coming out of the G League or every other kid that's underperforming in the NBA. He's going to get more attention because the expectations are higher.
This just popped into my head. I want to say it before I let you go, but we were talking earlier about the New Jersey Devils player who ended a 29-game drought scoring last night, and he called out a reporter in the scrum afterwards for banging on him on Twitter. And we're like, as you said, kids talk back. We shouldn't be surprised. When I was 15 years old, I'll never forget standing in the stairs of our farmhouse kitchen. 15. I told my mom to shut up. Whack! Out of nowhere, she knocked a filling across the kitchen floor out of my mouth. And I was so mad at myself that I made her do it. So these days, you'd go to jail. But I didn't talk back after that. Okay, Moose, I'll see you in an hour or two.
All right. See you then.
Yeah. She's the best. We'll be right back with a mini overtime right after this here on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcast.
Sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house. Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, the snow is falling across Western Canada, I'm told. And if you've got a winter birthday and that birthday boy or girl is hockey obsessed, then you want to take them to Overtime Hockey Lanes. #1 for parties. Everybody is so jealous that Calgary has an Overtime Hockey Lanes and nowhere else does. Maybe we need to change that. But for now, that's where you go to achieve your hockey goals, have the best office parties, birthday parties, team building sessions. 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. Tell Randy and Michelle that Rod sent you. story of me telling my mom to shut up and her cuffing me upside the head, knocking a filling right out of my head. Utah Darren writes in and says, Mom went upside my head at 15 as well. Ended all back talk then and there. Shy in Saskatchewan says, you're lucky your dad didn't lay into you with a belt. Oh, I've had multiple of those. This was the first time trying, Mom. No, same result. He was not around that day. Monty, we talked about the Huskies earlier. Where were you? Sports update, Heavy Jim sports headlines trailing 3-2 with last rock in the 10th end. Brad Jacobs of Alberta made a game-winning hit for 3 to outduel Matt Dunstone of Manitoba 5-3 Sunday in the Montana's Brier Championship final in Kelowna. It's the second career Brier title for the veteran skip, who also won back in 2013. The fifth for Ben Hebert, the lead. Only 4 games on the NHL slate tonight, but 3 feature Canadian teams. The Ottawa Senators look for a third straight win when they entertain the Detroit Red Wings. The Edmonton Oilers take a 2-game streak into Buffalo against the Sabres, and the Maple Leafs try to snap a 3-game slide when they visit the Utah Hockey Club. I feel like we got to talk about the Leafs with Moose next hour. Is he getting worried? Alex Ovechkin, 9 goals away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's all-time record after scoring his 886th career goal into an empty net. What a goal that was. Ovi holds the NHL record for empty netters with 65, I learned this morning. And that empty netter was actually his 1,600th career point. So now NHL Analytics has it down to, they say Ovi's going to, based on the numbers, he will score April 10th at Carolina. And this is the thing with analytics. So we're all going to be excited. What happens when he does it? What are the odds that he doesn't score that night? Analytics are cool, but they don't tell the whole story. What do they say? Bikinis are great, but they cover up the important parts.
How about that?
There's a parallel in there somewhere. Isn't that that's what they say? They said statistics. This was like from 30 years ago. They said stats are like bikinis. They look great, but they cover up the important things. Yeah, that's it. The Toronto Raptors get another shot at the Washington Wizards tonight, hosting them for the second time in 3 days. The Wizards edged the Raptors 118-117 on Saturday. Toronto will be without starters Jakob Poeltl, who is resting, and Grady Dick, who has a knee injury. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. And also brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas, now the monkey. When twin brothers Bill and Hal find their father's old monkey toy in the attic, a series of gruesome deaths start. Starring Tatiana Maslany and Theo James, The Monkey in Landmark Cinemas now. Okay, you got 3.5 minutes to load them up for the top of the hour. And what I mean by that is the Progressive Insurance text line. 902-518-3033. NFL free agency, the pre-tampering window opening today. We're going to sort all that out with Zig Fracassi from SiriusXM NFL Radio. In hour 2, more of the NHL talk. Who won the trade deadline? The CFL's breaking rumor we had. Lots of fun planned in hour 2. Stick around right after this.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
People don't like us Dallas Cowboy fans. It's similar to you Leaf fans. That's why we don't like you. Michael Irvin, the playmaker, he's like, Cowboys fans, get your Super Bowl tickets. Stop. He, of all people, should know it's one play at a time. It's one game at a time. The game took years off my life yesterday. But in the end, the Cowboys prevailed. Tells me this is something special brewing with the Dallas Cowboys. America's team.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Holy smokes, is there a lot going on? And I did say last hour when we set sail on this 1450th episode that I wanted to talk a lot of NFL today. We will, coming up with Zig Fracassi from SiriusXM NFL Radio. Let's bring the Moose in. When I say there's so much going on, I'm just in the middle of saving. Bear with me. This video, Brad Marchand met with the Florida media here. He's not healthy. He's not skating. He's going to be a couple of weeks before he plays. Come on, you beggar. Save. Okay, there it is. You want to know what he had to say?
Great memories in Boston and
Follow Cats and Bolts on Instagram, and you'll see it soon. Brad Marchand. I still can't believe it. I don't know when it's going to hit home. Maybe when he plays his first game. Yeah, and here's the thing. We have not, I said, I don't know if you probably weren't watching. Near the end of last hour, said I wanted to talk to you about the Leafs. So they've lost 3 in a row, and I never got your take. What's the take on what I think was a lack of quality moves at the deadline by your boy, Brad Treliving?
Yeah, the move to add the defenseman out of Boston, I thought was a good one. Scott Lawton, or I'm not sure where I sit on that, one of the players that was high on the trade bait board. He's 30 years old, can score a bit, but didn't really address key depth scoring. And by all accounts, I think people weren't very happy with his debut on Saturday night against Colorado in a game that was highly entertaining. And the Leafs were winning in the third period. But it's not about now. It's about what happens come playoff time. And at the end of the day, there is no amount of insulation or moves that could be made that are going to protect you from the fact that Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Riley, Tavares, they have to play in the playoffs. That's what's going to make the Leafs win or lose, is how those guys play in the playoffs. Hopefully, some depth moves help. But you're right. It was a slightly underwhelming deadline, but it was never going to be about the deadline. It's always going to be about those guys playing when the chips are down.
Do you have faith that Craig Berube will be the guy to make that happen?
I have faith that he could be, that he could be the guy to make that happen. And we've seen it at times this year and throughout the year where this team plays a little differently than we've seen in the past. I go back to a game not that long ago. It was kind of before the Four Nations when the Leafs were holding on to a lead and Joseph Woll had to make that incredible glove save, diving to keep the Leafs up and win the game. But what nobody really talked about was there was a defenseman in the crease behind Joseph Woll ready to take the puck off his chest if the puck got past Woll. That's something we haven't seen in the past. So I do think they play a little differently, but we'll see if it translates come the spring.
Before we switch to football, because there were football questions have come in. 902-518-3033, the Progressive Insurance text line. Switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. I beat you on Friday 5-3 in our breakaway bet segment.
I'm on a slide.
I know. Coming out of this weekend, I'm leading you 97-93. And I don't want to say, I'm just saying the clock's ticking.
But an hour ago, you said the score hasn't even put the playoff standings on the app yet. We got time.
I'm just getting in your head. And I think it's working.
How about that?
The Edmonton Oilers at the Buffalo Sabres tonight. Who wins?
Oilers.
Me too. Oh, got a little excited there. Detroit at Ottawa. That's a gooder.
Ooh,
4-pointer right there.
That's a great game. You go first.
I'll take Detroit. I'm a Todd McClellan backer. That's not to say that you're not, but they need it.
I'm
Detroit
not. I am, but
more.
Give me Ottawa. I'll take the Senators.
Chicago at Colorado. This does not need to be close. Avalanche for me.
Yeah, just mark it down. ×2.
Okay. And then Leafs at Utah.
I'll take the Leafs. They got to snap this mini skid they're on.
Okay, we only have the one dissenting game, but that's okay. We have a lot of games, as you aptly pointed out, to sort this out. Len Strandberg, he's a hockey man in Arizona, texting in. He says, sunny in Arizona today. Hopefully the snow is gone when I head back to Melfort. As a Leafs lifetime fan, I do agree with Moose that it all comes down to whether those guys play in the playoffs. Do you need to be a lifetime hockey guy to know that? We all know the Leafs need to get it done in the playoffs, which I'll just tell you a story. The other night I went to the Sabres-Panthers game and I bought a ticket. It's a funny story. I don't always need or care to sit in the press box. And actually, if you saw my social media for it, my own personal Cats and Bolts, some for this show as well, it's fun in the crowd, right? There was the couple with their baby, the first ever baby game for the baby. Did you see that? You saw it. And the kid's headband was across his eyes, and nobody saw it till well after the pick was taken. People had their little signs. But I was sitting beside a guy, real cool guy. His name was Michael. He turns to me, and he goes, do you mind telling me what you paid for that ticket? I said, no problem at all, $26. Why? He goes, well, because that's my season ticket. He goes, my wife's in Jamaica. Normally she'd be with me, but I put it on StubHub and you got it for $26. I'm like, yeah, well, plus fee is like $44. But I could go watch the Florida Panthers play the Buffalo Sabres for the same price as a junior hockey game in Regina. And there's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with that, But I did have big fun. It was a great game. The Sabres don't quit. They don't quit, or at least Zach Benson doesn't. Rob in Vegas writes in and he says, I'm disappointed that the Winnipeg Jets didn't make a bigger swing at the trade deadline. They're losing ground to the Stars and Avs. And then he puts a pouting emoji. What I'll say to that is they were the number one team going in. Luke Schenn and Brandon Tanev are outstanding hockey players. You need a guide, just so you know, have you ever been on a Mexican vacation or any vacation for that matter without a GPS or without a tour guide that's been there? That's Luke Schenn for you, okay? He's won 2 Stanley Cups. Guys, this is what we need to do. You know what I'm saying, Darren? You go on those Mexican excursions. Imagine if you went out on a boat or into a cave. You had no idea where you were going. That was the Winnipeg Jets in my mind. Until they got Luke Schenn. I can't think of what other Stanley Cup champs are on their roster, but not many. They don't need a lot. They didn't need a lot.
No,
That's what I think I was impressed with it. I was fiddling with putting them in the top 3 winning the trade deadline.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to go that far. But I think when I think about this, I think it's very similar to the Leafs. It really is. When you're a team and a fan base that just hasn't won, you tend to want to overcompensate and you want to erase or remove all doubt, right? It's the same when we've had failure in our lives, relationships, or, at work or whatever. We want to remove all doubt and we want to win. And if it's close, we have too much anxiety and we can't handle that, and for the Jets, you have a really, really good team. We were saying before the deadline, don't mess with the locker room. Don't play with this. It's really good. Toronto's got their core that they've decided to stick with. So you're not going to do anything to change that. There is no removing the doubt or adding players that make anything a guarantee in the NHL. You got a good team. Go out and win. And they've added some pieces who are really going to help, I think, that the depth.
That you or me. They're coming for you, Moose.
I know.
Tanev is a great player. And Luke Schenn is a really good player. He's got some tread worn off that tire. But he's won Stanley Cups before. I think it's a great move. Carlos from Indianapolis was just waiting for a story. He says, were you on one such vacation, Rod? Yes, I was. I've been on many, but the one that popped into my mind was Tulum, Mexico. The caves, where I can't remember the guy's name. Cam and Chantel Sebastian would remember, because what the hell was his name? It was like Squiggy or Piggy or something like that. It was our tour guide. And he was like, guys, be very quiet. Because look up. We're in the caves. 10,000 bats were sleeping on the ceiling of the cave. A lot of people almost had a coronary at the time. But he was the tour guide. And he took us through all these caves. And what do you call them? The stalactites or whatever the hell they are. And then through the ancient ruins of Tulum, and I will tell you, standing on a cliff overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, I'm like, this is the most beautiful place that I've ever been. His name was like Squeegee or Squiggy or Piggy or something like that. And I'm like, he took us right to it. We might have never found it, but he was the tour guide. I'm not saying Luke Schenn's going to take the Winnipeg Jets directly to the Stanley Cup championship, but he knows the way. I
think part of the question was, have you been on one of the trips or one of those tours without the tour guide? Do you got a story there?
Boy. Yeah, we don't want to go down that road.
I seem to recall you writing in one of your columns years ago about a trip to Jamaica. But maybe I'm wrong.
Beautiful. Oh, dude. I got roofied. I'm never going back there.
There you go. No guide.
It's a sore point. Don't stop at that bar. Nobody said that. We had spent the day going to the waterfalls in Jamaica. And, of course, at the time, I was a drinker. I was an alcoholic. And we got off the boat. Bus were waiting for us to take us back to the resort. But I'm like, just going to grab one. Just going to grab one right here. And there was a group of 6 of us. And we all got roofied. And I woke up the next day staring at my toes. That was the last thing I remember. All my money was gone. It would have been nice to have a tour guide say, don't stop there. And I've often said, I'll never forget the guy that was sitting behind the bar serving us. He had a Yankees hat on. He had this look in his eye. But I've never been back to go settle the score. Rob in Vegas says, I think we had the same tour guide, Rod. Yeah, what was his name, Rob? Squiggy, Piggy, Squeegee, something like that. Okay, Tony's been waiting for a while in Cochrane, Alberta to get this answered. He says, hey, Moose, most of the NFL draft pundits have the Titans taking edge Abdul Carter from Penn State at number 1. Your thoughts?
I'd be okay with that. You need to have an elite level pass rusher if you want to be great in the National Football League. All the good teams have one, and they're worth every bit. But stuff I've been reading and where I lean and land, I think, is that the Titans are leaning towards Cam Ward. And that's where I think they'll go number 1, is I think they'll take Cam Ward. If he ends up being a great quarterback, you don't want to be the team that passed on that. And I'm okay if you whiff. I really am. Like, if I'm a team in the NFL and you realize you need a quarterback to win, I'm drafting a quarterback with my first pick every single year until I find a Hall of Fame quarterback. Every year I'm wasting picks knowing that I'm eventually going to find one because you need one.
Listen, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Sorry, PETA, but it's true. And I look at Kelly McCrimmon. My God, he's our Messiah. I've known him since I was 16 years old. And in Vegas, he kept firing coaches until he got one that he liked. You're firing Gerard Gallant? You're firing Peter DeBoer? Great coaches, but it wasn't the right fit. He knew what he wanted. He got Bruce Cassidy, won a Stanley Cup. Keep firing those quarterbacks, those top draft picks till you get one. Oh, and by the way, how's Baker Mayfield doing down there in Tampa?
Yeah. That was the Detroit Red Wings, right? With their famous scout, and famous, but I forget his name. But the scout who drafted Datsuk and Zetterberg notoriously in the 5th or 6th round late. Those picks, I mean, you just swinging for the fences, trying to find difference makers. We can find a 3rd and 4th liner in free agency. They're all over the place, but we can't find superstars. So you keep using those picks to try and find a difference maker.
Does the name Ron Harrelson sound familiar to you? You old-time hockey guys, is that who it is?
I think
Ron
that
Harrelson?
sounds familiar.
I got to get this in before we let Moose go and bring in Zig to talk football. Ryan Thomas writes in from the Queen City, and he says both TSN and Sportsnet gave Tree Living and the Leafs an A for what they did at the trade deadline. They got both pieces that they were targeting. Don't the Leafs own those networks? The Toronto sports networks, where they literally, every year they pick the Leafs to win the Stanley Cup. Every series they pick the Leafs to win. Hey, the Leafs, we give them an A in the trade deadline. Of course you did. It would be breaking news if they didn't. Oh, Tommy, how come we never had these debates on the bus? That's what I want to know. Were you too shy? Okay, Moose, we're done. You have a great afternoon. Thanks for your efforts.
You bet. Have a good one.
Get your NFL and all football-related questions ready. Get them in now on the Progressive Insurance text line, 902-518-3033. Zig Fracassi from SiriusXM NFL Radio joins us next here on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are.
Live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hour two is for Culligan Water. Clear water, clear choice. Filter out the bad and taste the good. Culligan Water of Regina. You can order yours at culliganregina.com. Zig Fracassi is our favorite NFL radio analyst, but he's also a Bruins fan. I'm going to ask you, Zig, as Brad Marchand met with the South Florida media here today, Ziggy, do I need to get out a crying towel for you, or where are you on your captain taking his talents to South Beach?
Rod, good to be with you. Probably the absolute least surprised person on earth is me. I called this like back before the season even started. I thought that, it was going to be a situation where they may not be able to come to a contract. The Bruins, who at times have had a reputation of maybe not treating some of their best players well towards the end, let's say. But I think in the end, this was a true business decision. I think they came to terms, according to what Elliott was talking about on Saturday night, that they acquiesced to the 3-year deal. But I'm sure Marchand probably wanted something a little more comparable to what McAvoy got. He wasn't going to get what Pasternak got, but because of loyalty and all that kind of thing, Bruins probably figured, well, we'll give you a slight raise from what he was earning now. So I think in the final analysis, it became, all right, well, then we can't come to an accord there. Do you want to go anywhere? And apparently did him a solid to go down to Florida, although now he's still not going to be able to play for at least another 3-4 weeks. So we'll see where this actually goes.
I watched a clip from his introductory news conference this morning, and he said the second he walked into the room, it reminded him of the year they won the Stanley Cup in Boston 2011. The leadership, the culture, all the rest. So, hey, fine career in Boston.
Well, and let's not forget
with the
exact. Sorry, right. I was just saying, let's not forget two guys in the front office there, Sean Thornton, Gregory Campbell. Probably makes it a whole lot easier for him.
Oh, yeah. They know what he's all about, and vice versa. So what about these trades in the NFL? Is there a pair? Well, all of the news kind of feels like all hell broke loose in the NFL the last few days, but that's good for a guy in your shoes.
Yeah, it was so good for me, Rod. I wound up doing 2 shows yesterday because everything just got so out of control. I did my noon to 4 show with Brad Hopkins on NFL Radio. And then, within the night, like you had Devontae Adams signing with the Los Angeles Rams. You had Josh Allen coming to the record-breaking deal with the Buffalo Bills, $250 million guaranteed. Then we saw DK Metcalf being traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I got on the phone with my boss. I'm like, we got to go back on air here. And then sure enough, we wound up going on 9 to 11 last night with all the signings. There's a lot going on today. Of course, what a day for Twitter to take a you-know-what, considering this is one of the busiest days around the National Football League. But what is it? You see a lot of shuffling going in and around the NFL. Looks like, Milton Williams, big defensive lineman from the Eagles. He's going to Carolina. Godwin staying down in Tampa. They got Hassan Reddick as well. So those are some of the ones, Rod, that I'm trying to keep up with in the NFL today.
Hey, I get it, and I'm glad that you've carved out some time for us on this busiest day. And by the way, you must have a hell of a boss, one that would say, yeah, do. He must have said, yeah, do it. What was his reaction when you asked if you could go back on the air?
Well, it was Nick, and he, I think at time, sometimes when it's on the weekend, and these people normally have regular days off and everything like that, so to have to scramble around and find some people to help out with it, but it all came together rather quickly, and it turned out to be a really good show, well received, and always a pleasure to work with former NFL linebacker Kirk Morrison, who always has some great insights. So great coverage right now, of course, on NFL Radio Channel 88, the SiriusXM app, and a whole lot of money being spent right now, Rod, around the NFL. It's that time of the year. Of course, this is the week that the calendar year for the 2025 NFL season starts.
Am I on the right track with this? Myles Garrett, probably the biggest news out of all these, staying in Cleveland, 4-year extension, $204.8 million deal. He has sold any chance of winning a Super Bowl for that price. And I that was the question off the top of the show. I said, would you take the bag knowing you'll never win a Super Bowl if you stay there? Now, he might not end in Cleveland, but you know what I mean. He's not winning in Cleveland, but he got the bag. You can't have both in that market. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was bizarre that he issued the statement last month that he wanted to be traded because he didn't like the direction of the organization. So automatically, this gives you sort of pauses. All right, was this a ploy actually to get more money out of the Haslam family? Which, again, only Myles knows. Only the Browns know the answer to that. So he's a premier talent. There's no question about it. He's very productive. Even last year, when their season went to the hell in the handbasket, he still had double-digit sacks and was impacting games, Rod. So hopefully what happens now is that the health is better. They got to get that quarterback situation settled because Deshaun Watson's not going to be able to play. He had another, Achilles situation come up. So who do they bring in? Do they bring Joe Flacco back? Do they try to trade for Kirk Cousins? What the scenario is, if they can somehow get that offense fixed, they were a playoff team 2 years ago. So who knows? Maybe this keeps Myles Garrett kind of interested. But I think at the whole end, this whole thing just doesn't sit right with me. Ask for a trade, and then all of a sudden you get the bag a month later.
It worked. You've just
it worked. Yeah,
the ploy worked. Rob in the Queen City writes in. Well, he's got a Regina number, but I think he's from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. He writes in on the Progressive Insurance text line. He says, "Hey, Rod, love the show. Can't wait till you're back in the friendly city this summer. I'm a diehard 49er fan and would love to see Joey join his brother Nick, though both are injury prone. Are we at a point, Zig, where when a guy like Joey Bosa gets cut, we're not even surprised anymore given the age and the salary?
I think it's a great point by you, Rod. And the irony was that Joey Bosa played, I think, practically every game last year for the Chargers. So, but there is that injury history, just can't stay on the field. To your listener there, apparently there has been some discussions for Joey to join Nick in San Francisco. Also read that Joey could go down to Miami. Of course, his dad, John Bosa, was a first-round pick of the Dolphins, and I think it was 87, I want to say. He was a standout end in his day as well. So it's going to be interesting to see where Joey Bosa winds up. On the 49ers, a lot of shuffling going on there. You know, they traded Deebo Samuel to Washington. You know, they've got some other decisions I think they need to make there. Maybe Brandon Ayuk winds up getting moves. So this is going to be interesting because they got to free up money to sign Brock Purdy, which again opens up, Rod, that Pandora's box. Well, let's pay the quarterback and then hey, good luck with, trying to fill out the rest of your roster.
Hey, they tried to run it back with the Jets, Green Bay 2.0, and it didn't work. Right? Lazard, Aaron Rodgers, and a few others. Are they trying to run it back in Vegas with the Seahawks? Because it sure looks like it.
Yeah, it does, right? I mean, Pete Carroll obviously is the new coach there. And, of course, the trade they made with the Seahawks to get Geno Smith for a third-round pick. Well, from people we had on the show this weekend, it just seemed as though that Geno Smith had some, let's just say, some issues in terms of, maybe his demeanor. It started to grate on some people a little bit. I think there was some discord there with DK Metcalf, maybe a little bit with Tyler Lockett. He was let go. So I think in the final analysis that the Seahawks are doing a bit of a teardown here. If you look at their roster, Rod, some of their other defensive players were let go, even though they won 10 games last year. In some ways, this almost mirrors what Sean McDermott did in Buffalo almost a decade ago. If you remember, he came in, got it to the playoffs with Rex Ryan's roster, and then by the next year, he started to gut the team and make the way that he wanted it to be. So this has some overtones to that in Seattle, and you reunite him, Geno, with Pete Carroll in Vegas. It's an upgrade from what they've had there in Vegas. So, yeah, familiarity hopefully breeds contempt for the AFC West opponents if you're Pete Carroll and the Las Vegas Raiders.
So I'm dying to get your take on this, Zig. I love you. You coined the term, the hot take media. If you didn't coin it, I'm still giving it to you. And you're not shy of opinions and stuff. That's what you do. But down here, I used to be so intimidated to make my thoughts known on the NFL because it's the NFL. And then I realized, it's just opinion. It doesn't mean the guy's right. And my point on that is Josh Allen gets the bag with the Bills. And there's a podcaster here who's a really good friend of mine, Adrian. And he goes, Tua's going to get the bag. Tua's going to have his hand out for Chris Greer. I'm like, Tua's like he's got a job.
Yeah.
Who's right?
And I think they just took care of him too, right?
Right. Exactly. On a bridge deal. Not a long deal, but long enough. Yeah, he's not in line for a payday.
You got to wonder, too, now, Rod, with this news. Again, Josh Allen now $250 million guaranteed, the highest ever. Wonder if that number 15 guy in Kansas City tells Mr. Clark Hunt or Brett Veach, hey, I've been to a few Super Bowls here. We've won some championships. Maybe give me a little more gravy. Although in Mahomes' case, he's got so many other interests going on. Part ownership of the Royals, I think, with the soccer team there in Kansas City, makes a ton of money on endorsements. Maybe he doesn't need the extra money. I'm just throwing that out there.
Shy writes in with some updates. He says Milton Williams goes to the Carolina Panthers. Russell Wilson goes to the Giants. What a bizarre first day of free agency. Are you seeing those moves, Zig, too?
That Russell Wilson one apparently is new, if it's true, although I guess I wouldn't be surprised because, they are in need of a quarterback there. Obviously, Daniel Jones, their first-round pick from a few years ago, didn't work out. He's on Minnesota's roster. So I figured Russell still have a shelf life in the NFL. He did have moments last year where he was good with Pittsburgh, but then, like that team, he faded down the stretch. I know there had been some overtures about Aaron Rodgers possibly staying in New Jersey, this time with the Giants. So if the Russell Wilson one's true, I guess I wouldn't be surprised. The guy still has some life to him, but again, he's on to me, the wrong side of 30. And you just wonder with that particular situation, Giants need an awful lot of work on that offensive line. Do have some good young receivers, though, and the backfield still needs some work, too.
Zig Fracassi hosts talk shows on SiriusXM NFL Radio. I want to ask you, of the 32 NFL fan bases, who's the loudest, Zig? Who's the loudest that you deal with?
The loudest? Interesting.
Fan base.
Oh, yeah, I hear you. I'm just trying to think right off the top. Seems like we always get a fair amount of Packers calls. Probably Steelers, Chiefs. Of course, the Cowboys. There's always drama with Jera, who, by the way, they lost Jordan Lewis, maybe the best slot corner in the league. He goes to Jacksonville, so that's a guy they're going to need to replace. So those are probably the teams, Rod, that immediately come to mind.
I figured the Cowboys might be. I'm a Cowboys fan. You used to be. And I just look at all the refigured deals with Dak and CD. You already got $26 new million this year with a salary cap going up. It just shows how Jerry's screwed, doesn't even know what he's doing. And I saw him speaking after the Zach Martin news conference last week. I got sick to my stomach, Zach. I'm like, I'm tired of listening to Jerry. It was a new record. It was like March 7th. I'm tired already of Jerry.
Ah, gosh. By the way, and how about that? You want to draw a parallel there? If Jera had his way, Rod, Zach Martin wouldn't have been in Dallas. That'd have been Johnny Football.
I know.
And then I think Will McClay, who I still think does a hell of a job as the de facto GM with the draft and everything like that. You got to draft this Zach Martin. He's a human guard technician, for goodness sakes. So it turned out over 11,000 snaps, Rod. I think there was 7 accepted holding penalties and none on pass plays. Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Right?
We were talking about Johnny Football at a 12-step meeting the other night, by the way, here in South Florida. Some people never get it. Okay, Zig, we could go on forever. You're a busy guy, though. Thanks for this, my brother. Let's do it again.
All right, Rod. Always a pleasure, my friend.
SiriusXM NFL Radio, Zig Fracassi. I didn't even have time to ask him about Super Bowl. Next time. The Progressive Insurance text line is open, 902-518-3033. We're going to load them up with a sports update and your comments when we come back. Switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. We're live on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, the RP show continues, and it's that time of day. It's just you and me the rest of the way. By the way, folks, transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information at emjmarketing.com. And sports fans, join the Rod Squad newsletter today. Stay ahead of the game with exclusive insights, updates, contests, and exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up for free today at rodpeterson.com. And in this weekend's 10 Weekend Things newsletter I wrote about, everybody's clamoring, dying for a name to be linked to the CFL commissioner search. I heard a name on Friday morning. Paul Graham, the outgoing, retired, legendary executive director for TSN, built the World Juniors into what it is, built the CFL on TSN. It's not generating a lot of buzz because Paul Graham's only a big name in the television industry, but he's the man. So Darren and I have both said, we talked about it in the opening segment, that if it was him, we'd be okay with it. But the same source that mentioned Paul Graham to me also said, they got to talk to Mike Moriali, because I'm not sure if they have yet or if they have anything scheduled, but he's a guy they're going to want to talk to. So there's a couple of names. What were you expecting? Tony from Cochrane, Alberta says the Browns' problem is they draft a quarterback high in the draft and throw him into the lion's den right away, and he fails, a la Tim Couch, et cetera, et cetera. They need to draft one and mentor him through a veteran. It wouldn't be that hard to do. There are veterans out there. Joe Flacco. You can sign Sam Darnold. Look how it worked out for Minnesota. Why are you throwing them into the wolves like that? And again, Baker Mayfield, how many consecutive division titles has he led the Buccaneers to since he got there? But no, couldn't play in Cleveland. Nobody can play in Cleveland. Don't get me started on players. I'm sitting there the other night watching Buffalo and Florida in the NHL, and we do know this. I'm looking at Sam Reinhart, former Sabre, lighting it up. Scores the Stanley Cup winning goal for the Panthers. They got him out of Buffalo. Jack Eichel, Stanley Cup winner, Vegas Golden Knights, got him out of Buffalo. At what point did the teams look in the mirror and say, oh, it's something we're doing? Something needs to change. But they don't. I cannot enough applaud the Calgary Flames because it looks like they looked in the mirror and said, what are we doing wrong? Because from what I hear, and they were just through here, the culture's changing with the Calgary Flames. You don't got to look too far as to who's responsible for that, but bravo. And I'm glad they didn't do anything at the trade deadline. Okay, a Heavy Jim sports update on this Monday. Khalil Mack will remain with the LA Chargers after agreeing to a one-year deal today. His $18 million salary for the 2025 season will be fully guaranteed. J.C. Horn has agreed to a 4-year contract extension with the Carolina Panthers worth $100 million, and $70 million of that is guaranteed, making him the highest-paid cornerback in the NFL. The number 8 pick in the 2021 draft, Horn is coming off his first Pro Bowl after having 68 tackles, 2 sacks, and 1 pick this year. Meanwhile, Craig Wolfley, a former NFL offensive lineman who spent most of his 12-year career playing for Chuck Noll in Pittsburgh before becoming a fixture on the Steelers radio broadcast team, has died. He was 66. There are only 4 games in the NHL tonight, but 3 of them involve Canadian teams. The Ottawa Senators will be aiming for their 3rd straight win when they host the Detroit Red Wings. The Oilers, with 2 wins in a row, visit the Buffalo Sabres, and the Utah Hockey Club host the Toronto Maple Leafs, who have lost 3 in a row. Moose and I made our picks earlier. It was fun. There are 12 games in the NBA tonight, including 1 in Toronto, where the Raptors host the Washington Wizards for the 2nd time in 3 days. On Saturday, the Wizards beat the Raptors 118-117 in a wild finish when a Toronto basket by Jamal Sheed at the buzzer was ruled 0.1 seconds too late. Brad Jacobs and his championship Alberta team will represent Canada at the World Men's Curling Championship in, if I can read the card here, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, starting on March 29th. The Alberta foursome, which outdueled Manitoba's Matt Dunstone 5-3 Sunday night in the Montana's Brier title game, earned $108,000 for their victory in Kelowna. Defending champion Brad Gushu of St. John's finished 3rd, losing 7-5 in Sunday's semifinal to Jacobs. American golf star Russell Henley won the Arnold Palmer Invitational Sunday despite trailing Colin Morikawa by 3 shots with 5 holes to play at Bay Hill. Oh, and I'm not done. Still going. The Toronto Blue Jays continue preseason play today against the Houston Astros at TD Ballpark in Dunedin. The Jays, who beat the Tampa Bay Rays 13-9 Sunday, have won 9 of 15 spring training games. The Astros, who lost 10-6 to the Marlins Sunday, are 8-7. The sports update is brought to you by Heavy Gym, as you should know by now. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. Gonna take a break here. That'll give us more time for overtime right after this. And that's when we turn it over to you. 902-518-3033 or the YouTube chat. Anything we haven't covered? Now's your chance. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV. Streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders. Plus, behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
All right, you folks better get some comments in now, as Clark tells me that we have a whopping 9 minutes left. And we actually got some good ones here. I feel like we can have a confab throughout the rest of the way. I will tell you, though, that Overtime is brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Achieve your hockey goals at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. It's where skill and fun collide. Just go check it out. Tell them the RP Show sent you, and I will guarantee you that you will not be disappointed. State-of-the-art shooting lanes, top-notch equipment. It's the ultimate training destination for players of all ages and skill levels. Stop in and see them. 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. And again, tell Randy and Michelle that Rod sent you. It's not like a Lanny thing. Tell them Lanny sent you, but it kind of is. They're great longtime partners of ours. I do have some, let me read this university sports stuff because we do love our university sports. For the first time since 2020 and the 12th time in program history, the University of Saskatchewan Huskies are Canada West men's hockey champions. Vince Lechavo scored the game winner with 10:09 remaining in the third. And former Regina Pat Roddy Ross recorded a 30-save shutout in Game 3 of the Canada West Finals, best of 3, to lead the Huskies to a 3-0 victory and a 2-1 series win. This is hilarious. It doesn't say who they played, but it was my alma mater, the Mount Royal University Cougars. Meanwhile, for the first time in program history, the Winnipeg Westmen are the champions of Canada West. Isaiah Olford had 16 kills, and the Westmen men's volleyball team made a triumphant statement Saturday, dropping the Alberta Golden Bears 3-0 and to win the conference championship game at the Duckworth Center. How about that?
How about
From
that?
the audience, 902-518-3033. Progressive Insurance text line. Switch to Progressive and you could save a buck. Gary in Winnipeg, the old fart, writes in. He says, I love your new glasses, Rod. I hope you got the blue tint so your sleep habits are not negatively affected. Nope. I just like blue. And I know that it's clashing with my Medicine Hat Tigers shirt, which incidentally, I thought I'd left in Moose Jaw. But I came across it over the weekend when I was going through some stuff in the closet. And I'm like, this came from Gino DePaoli, the former voice of the Tigers. He's not even with them anymore. But this is a very quality shirt. Shout out to my friends in Medicine Hat. It's a great shirt, man. I'm going to wear it more. Ron in Calgary writes in. He says, great show, Rod. Ovi will go down as the best ever. Looking forward to seeing it. Pump the brakes. No, because he's got a couple of records. What is the biggest record in the NHL? To be honest with you, points might be bigger than goals. Yeah, he'll go down as the greatest goal scorer ever. Is that what you're saying? I found it really interesting that he's got 65 empty netters, and that's an NHL record. I'm such a nerd for game notes, not analytics, game notes. There's a big difference. Ovi scores an empty netter yesterday. Washington beat Seattle 4-2. Not only was it his 65th career empty netter, which is an NHL record, it was his 1,600th career point. Only he became the 11th NHLer to do that. And now he's 9 away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's record. And this is, I don't know, man. I'm getting too hung up on this. I got to let it go. But this is from NHL Stats. And it's just math. But they're like, based on his scoring rate, which is like 0.86 goals a game, he's on pace to break the record April 10th at Carolina. I was like, well, what if he doesn't? You're going to buy tickets to go to Raleigh to watch him play, and what if he doesn't? Well, but you said he was going to. I guess that's the difference between what I like the game notes is the history of what Ovi's done versus the analytics of what could happen. I mean, that's just one thing. The other one that drives me nuts is shot attempts. Listen, it's a me thing. I get it. I'll talk to my therapist about it. Well, they attempted the shot. Yeah, it went into the defender's knee pads. So, who cares? Kirk in Toronto. I've saved the political talk almost to the very end. Kirk in Toronto writes in. He says, hi, Rod. Kirk from Toronto here. Feels good to be Trudeau-free. But now Carnage Carney awaits. Hey, we're not a political show, and we've done pretty well today getting through it, wouldn't you say? Bob in Saskatoon writes in, and he says, sounds like either Jets or Steelers get Justin Fields. The other gets Aaron Rodgers. Break the news. You just broke the news, Bob. Breaking rumors. It is a very perilous trade, believe me, and I haven't quite figured it out. Speaking of therapy, I've broken stories that teams will never talk to me again. They'll never forgive me for breaking story. I'm not going to tell you some of the biggest stories that I've broken. It pisses off the team. So my thing, and you don't care. You guys don't care. But I'll say this, the night that they signed Carter Verhaeghe to an 8-year extension here or whatever, I think it was 8 years here. I walked up to one of the Panthers beat reporters. That's the guys and girls that cover the team every day. And I said, okay, 8 years, great, but how much? And he goes, I don't know, ask the insider. I'm like, excuse me? This was just a couple months ago. He goes, ask the insiders. They're the ones that have that information. We don't ever get told that anymore. So it's the Elliot Friedmans, the Darren Dregers, the Bob McKenzies. They have all the info, and that's what annoys me a little bit about this CFL commissioner search, because everybody's up my ass about names for the CFL commissioner. Who are they interviewing? Who's going to be next? They just want names. That's what business is all about. And I kind of got tired of saying, ask the insiders. Ask Farhan. Ask Dave Naylor. Coincidentally, great friends of mine. But if the CFL wanted this information out, they would have gone through those guys. But what's fun, and I think harmless, is Friday morning I was chatting with an old baller, old CFL friend of mine, who would know these things. And I said, what are you hearing for commissioner? And he goes, I'm hearing the name Paul Graham, which anybody in the CFL knows Paul Graham, especially media, the longtime legendary executive director. And I don't know, I didn't even know, I could have sent him a text, whatever. Just putting it out there. I thought it would generate a little more buzz than it has. But we tried. Maybe it's because you don't know him. Mike is watching at Ice Time Sports in Winnipeg, and he says 100% points is the bigger record. That's what I think. Ovi goes down as the greatest goal scorer of all time? Sure. The record says that. I saw the other day, somebody goes, okay, well, we all know Gretzky's 1 and Ovechkin's 2. Who's the third best goal scorer of all time? Gordie Howe. That's why we count them. How is this a thing? And do you know who's 4? Jaromir Jagr. Rich in Edmonton says sometimes analytics can shove it. Oh, I agree. BW in Drayton Valley says, where did Gino end up? I loved hearing his takes when you were at the Grey Eagle. Geno Smith? Who's he talking about? He ended up in Vegas. Who the hell are you talking about? Brent in Wellington, Florida says, great show, all juiced up for the NHL playoffs. Who is in today and who won't be come playoff time? But did you sign up for the newsletter? It's either in my Monday Morning Goalie or the newsletter. Can't remember which. All the playoff pairings are there. Columbus and Ottawa are in. Detroit are out. And they got way more talent than those other teams. Ain't it a fun time of year? Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.
McFly, hello.